And opposition questions the delayed appointment of a substantive defense minister, raising security concerns. My name is George Quinn. We have details of these and many more coming up in the next 60 minutes if you spend your time with me. You can also get interactive with us. We're live on Facebook. It's TV3 Ghana. Let's begin with security, where the minority in Parliament has consistently mounted pressure on President John Dramani Mahama to appoint a substantive defense minister. The latest to join the call is a former government spokesperson on governance and security, Dr. Paul Grave Dankwa, who has also questioned the delay and raised security concerns. He spoke on Ghana Tonight last night.
I want to ask the president, what information is he aware of that the entire Ghanaian people are not aware of that is preventing him from appointing a substantive minister for defense? It's so troubling. It exposes us to a lot of risk, and the indicators are so clear and so wide. I think that sometime all throughout 2025, I brought out a data of the level of incidents that have happened and occurred and triggers that have occurred across the length and breadth of the country. Dotted incidents across the length of the breadth of the country, from Greater Accra to Ashanti region to Bono to Northern region to Upper East to Upper West. Dotted incidents all across board. And I mean, look at it. We have an incidents on the land, we have an incidents on our maritime, and it's clearly an indication that the president must be in a hurry to appoint a substantive minister for defense. I thought that this was going to be an opportunity for him to highlight it at the tail end of his State of the Nation address, that Mr. Speaker, my cabinet have considered a nominee for the State of the for Minister for Defense, and the name would be submitted to you for the appointment committee to vet the person so that individual can start his work. I'm still in awe that the president has still not appointed and given us a name. But you see, there are a few things that we must be able to advise the government, and I would like to put that out very clearly. Kimani, where we find ourselves, and especially with the countries that are bordered to us, it is important that we take our security and intelligence gathering very, very seriously. There is no way we can be able to combat the threats of terrorism if we do not take our security and intelligence gathering seriously. It's also important that in taking our security very seriously, we also look at the risk that is involved in terms of the livelihood risk and also enforcement gap. There's a lot of enforcement gap that we are receiving some signals from, and intelligence must be a priority. Okay, there are a lot of escalating risks that we keep picking up from our neighboring countries. There are high levels of some arsenals that are coming in, and I'm very certain that these are issues that a president should be aware of. If you look at all the issues that have happened from our traders, you look at escalating food insecurity that is coming up, you look at illegal mining and the threats to our ecosystem, you rate in all of those incidents. And I mean, I think that, look, this could have been a very nice State of the Nation address to have ended it with the president saying, look, it takes 9 months for you to have 1 year in prison. In the security sector, a vacuum of almost 7 months is long overdue. The president did mention that Ghana is going to be 69 years. Are we going to be celebrating independence anniversary without a substantive minister for defense?
Well, let's still stay on this security matter and connect via Zoom with Richard Kumado, who is a security and fraud analyst. Thank you so much, Richard, for your time. And before we delve into the call for a substantive defense minister, let's begin with the State of the Nation address, which was delivered yesterday by the president. How do you react to the president's State of the Nation address as regards security?
I think the State of the Nation address, as was narrated by your colleague Judith Brown yesterday, is a statement of accountability. So every year you use the parliament platform to tell Ghanaians what you have achieved as a government or as a president and what you intended to do. But with specific area to security, I must say that our country is evolving, population is growing. There has been expansions between the rural communities and the urban communities. So it is just proper that we also expand the physical structures of the security management centers. And in that regard, what the president said was that there's going to be a military barracks at Ejukuma to take care of Cape Coast, and that of Dambai to take care of the Oti region. Considering the fact that we have Accra, Ho, Kumasi, Sunyani, Takrady, and Tamale, and we also have FOB. FOB is a helipad of a forward operating military base, not as big as the usual ones. We have one in Boku, and government announces that we are going to have one within the Upper West region. I think in terms of military infrastructure, we have actually covered the country if the Jokuma and the Dambai one comes in public. What is also important when I was happy there hearing him was when he talked about retooling the BNI and the immigration. These two institutions are key national security institutions that performs unique functions within the structure. And the BNI in particular would need government support in specific areas. So I was happy to hear that. Then, of course, he commended the IGP, who everybody can attest to the fact that ever since he became an IGP, Christian Yawonu, has motivated his men, create some level of ambience that security leadership will be seen. And the combined effort of the CID block and the IGP block has given us tremendous results, and we can attest to that. So overall, this is what he has done, and I want to believe that once the key areas come into being, we will be fine.
Of the nation address, if you want to put maybe a value or rate to it, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the security, and what's your own assessment of the state of security in Ghana?
No, I have always maintained that security risk assessment and vulnerability management is a continuous process. And if you understand how our national security decisions are made and the structure we follow, it makes life easier for everybody, unless you have a misconception or misunderstanding about it. So let me take you through it within the shortest possible time.
Sure.
You see, today there has been an argument about appointing a Minister of Defense.
Yeah.
Do you know that the #1 military officer in this country is the Chief of Defense Staff? At the Chief of Defense Staff office, you have Air Force, you have Navy, you have Army, their lieutenants helping him in that regard. When they need political governance in that regard, or they need politicians, the staff officer or the executive secretary in the office of the Chief of Defense Staff will write to the Ministry of Defense, and Ministry of Defense will write to the Chief of Staff in the office of the President. When they are responding to the letter, it comes through the same way. The only time the military needs political representation is when they are doing they are performing their statutory outreach programs. And this is what is creating the hesitation why the president is not nominating a substantial defense minister, because our national security decision-making process is so simple. How is it so simple? When they go to the National Security Council for the meetings, the military makes a representation as one of the National Security Council institutions. And you have the Minister of National Security, which is Muntaka, who is also acting as the Minister of Interior. Then you have the National Security Coordinator, and you have the National Security Advisor. When they make those decisions, they are the one that briefs the president based on the arrangement they made. Then you also have what we call the Joint Intelligence Committee meetings. And this is where all the intelligence units within the security agencies meet to take security governance decisions. So therefore, once the president realized that once I don't have a minister substantial, and a two-person is playing the override role, and it's not impeding or hindering the decision-making at the highest level of national security decisions, you wouldn't have him making the decision. Other than that, nothing also stops him from appointing somebody. But the major question we need to be asking ourselves is, what is the role of deputy ministers in a presidential democracy where the president is the only one who has the prerogative power to make decisions? So this is what we have as a nation.
So how do you also respond to calls by the minority and now Dr. Paul Grieve-Boakye-Dankwa for the immediate appointment of a substantive defense minister?
Now, I think it's the prerogative of the president to make those decisions. If the president make a decision tomorrow and appoints somebody other than a two-person, I don't think that would be a bad thing. Other than that, they shouldn't create a civil war. And all manner of persons are speaking about security, intelligence, and security of this country as if our nation has come under attack or we are at war. I can tell you for a fact that if you look at the security leadership of this country, Chaskipo at the BNI, this is what he has done for the past 30 years. These are great people with vast experience and capabilities. When you look at the IGP, the president just commended him, together with the Ghana Police Service, what they have done. The man at the helm of affairs as a CDS is a great professional. Take Basitelli and go back and check where he came from. In the days of Felix Sapon as the CGI, right down to where they've gotten to where they are. I want to say that, yes, security management and vulnerability management is a continuous process. Let's not create an impression that our country is under attack and we are facing of so much vulnerabilities that cannot be managed. No, we are doing so well. We have performed so well. We have sustained this country over the years, and nobody should create the impression that people should not sleep. Security management is a continuous process. And what these guys at the helm of affairs have done is to ensure that our national sovereignty guarantees are achieved within timelines. Security assurances are provided within timelines. Public safety challenges are addressed within timelines. And security intelligence effectiveness is made available for decision-making and policymakers to take advantage. So that is where we are. And we are raising issues about tomato sellers and attack on the sea as if our country has come to an attack. My brother, do you remember that in the year 2022, when Burkina Faso was spoken about in a manner that they do not like, it wasn't the Minister of Defense that led the delegation to Burkina Faso. It was Kandapa, who was then the Minister of National Security. So we need to remind ourselves and know that security is a sacred and a holy ground. And if you don't have the insight or the inept into that area, it's not an area you speak about anyhow. Let me assure people of Ghana, with Minister of Defense or without Minister of Defense, our men in uniform are putting their lives on the line, and we should not create an impression that shows that their loyalty is being questioned or they do not have this country at heart. They do, because I have served and I know how difficult it is to serve. And the scars for them, our body shows that this is the only country we have, and we will do everything at any time to protect the integrity of this country.
So much, Richard Kumado. It's always a pleasure tapping into your expertise and actually allay the fears of Ghanaians over the absence of a substantive defense minister. Richard Kumado is a security and fraud expert. And away from that, President John Dramani Mahama says Ghana's economic credibility has been restored and ranks among Africa's top 10 economies. In his second State of the Nation address, he defended tough decisions, including the cocoa price reduction, and announced plans to implement a 24-hour economy. Take a listen.
We did not arrest the dollar. We strengthened the CD to put up a good fight against the other currencies. I can say to you with confidence, Ghana is back. Ghana is working again. And Ghana is open for business. Mr. Speaker, our nation is on the runway. It is in takeoff mode. And you are all advised to fasten your seat belts. In the last week, we have had to take the painful but necessary decision to revise the producer price of cocoa to achieve competitive pricing and resolve the acute liquidity challenges in the sector. Mr. Speaker, failure to do this as others did and left a debt of 32 billion for this government to pay. Failure to do this would have meant borrowing billions in borrowed funds. Mr. Speaker, this unplanned expenditure would have taken us right back to the very devastating economic problem we have only recently begun to escape. So, Mr. Speaker, while fully understanding the concerns and protests of our farmers, I can firmly assure them that the reforms announced by government will see a total transformation of the cocoa sector. And it will guarantee them a fair and transparent price that enables them to meet the cost of producing the commodity and making decent margins. Mr. Speaker, the difference between economic hardship and avoiding the same is the exercise of sound economic judgment. And I'm determined to take decisions that ensure our collective well-being and avoid the suffering of all our citizens. These are difficult decisions to take, but Mr. Speaker, I had to take them.
Well, let's stay in the cocoa sector as Minister of State in charge of government communications, Phyllis Kwashiorkor, has justified government's recent decision to reduce cocoa prices, a move he says will help save the Ghanaian economy, which was on the brink of collapse before the NDC took over power. He further states Côte d'Ivoire has decided to follow suit due to the persistent decline in world prices.
Because of the adjustment we made to the price, substantial liquidity has come in.
True.
And indeed, the latest reports from Cocoa Board indicates that in the last few weeks or so, they've been able to advance up to 3.6 billion Ghana cedis to LBCs to buy the cocoa beans that were stranded. Mind you, before the price adjustment, about 580 metric tons of cocoa had already been committed at the price that was fixed originally, 3,600 Ghana cedis per bag. And they were in the process of selling that and receiving funding from the buyers in order that they will be able to pay the LB. So the liquidity situation, as he himself has admitted, has improved substantially since the price adjustment. And it is no surprise that Côte d'Ivoire, that is presently suffering from low sales or a lack of interest from buyers because their price is perceived to be too high, is now seriously considering reducing the farm gate price in order that they will have liquidity to evacuate the cocoa that is stuck in the various warehouses. So since at least 1991, under the Rawlings regime, up until 2024, we have been doing what we call the syndicated loan. Essentially, a group of banks come together to advance monies to Cocoa Board to purchase the beans. Now, for Cocoa Board to do that, they have to, first of all, guarantee a certain level of production after their forecasts. And then commit sometimes up to 80% of the beans that they expect to get from farmers in the form of collateral. Because in the past, we relied heavily on cocoa to shore up our forex reserves. It brings in roughly $1.8 to $2 billion per annum. So you recall that often around August, September, there is some reprieve for the local currency because we get this significant injection of forex. Once Cocoa Board receives that money, they give it to the Bank of Ghana, who gives them the CD equivalent, and then they pay the LBCs to go and pay farmers. The LBCs, in the meantime, would have engaged the farmers and taken the cocoa. Sometimes they do it, they advance money to the cocoa farmers, or they do it on credit, pending the receipt of funding from Cocoa Board. Now, again, the MPP completely destroyed our economy.
If you say they completely destroyed...
Absolutely. To the extent that because of the debt default or indication of sin, the syndicated loan was not forthcoming any longer. The bank didn't want to touch us with the long pole. So in 2024, they didn't get the syndicated loan. But who would advance you a loan when you have just declared default? As far back as 2022, you declared default. In other words, you told the whole world that you were no longer creditworthy and that if you were giving money, you could simply not pay. So the bank didn't want to deal with us. Indeed, the previous year, they technically defaulted on the loan that they took. But for a $70 million bridge finance they got from the finance ministry, they would have defaulted on the syndicated loan.
Well, let's still on the cocoa sector crisis. As Member of Parliament for Wale Wale, Dr. Tia Abdul Karibu Mahama has attributed the cocoa crisis to the incompetence of the management of Cocoa Board. He insists the crisis is a self-inflicted problem which must be laid at the doorstep of government. He spoke on key points earlier today.
Let's be granted that the MPP caused the problem on the basis of which you were voted into power. You have no business coming to look Ghanaians on the face when you profess to the whole country that you have what it takes to rescue the country. In any case, you told us you will run the economy aground. Yet you are telling us today that you have been able to rescue the economy. Why can't you rescue the cocoa sector? So this duplicity and double standard in the measures they use to even judge their own competence is mind-boggling, because you told us that the economy was run aground. You were able to rescue it, but a sector of the economy, which is cocoa sector, you've not been able to rescue it, and you are still blaming, sending the roses to where it doesn't, and actually sending maybe the grass to somewhere it doesn't belong. Look, this government made a clear promise to farmers based on their understanding of the cocoa sector. And when you made the promise that you're going to give farmers 6,000, 7,000 Ghana cedi per bag, You were clear in your promise. Now, you were also not, you were using the existing exchange rate at that time to make your calculation. That when Forex was not doing so well, it is sometime to the 14, sometime to the 13. You were using that. But when you even came to power, you used your Bank of Ghana rate, which was not even up to the 70% that you promised. Because if you are going to give farmers dollar, give them the dollar equivalent, let us use the prevailing market rate of the exchange rate to determine what you can buy. Because when the LBCs are going to buy the dollar, they don't use the Bank of Ghana rate. They use the commercial bank rates. So you cannot hide under numbers and try to say that what you are giving. In any case, if a government is telling me that 5% is better than 10%, and then 3,500 is better than, 2,500 Ghana cedis is better than 3,600 Ghana cedis, it tells you the kind of analysis they are doing with this particular problem. Look, you created a problem. The problem is that the cocoa sales are forward sales. And we all know, even Randy, as the chief executive officer, professed so many solutions. I sat on TV and he was the host, claiming to know the solution, highlighting the forward sales of cocoa and said that there was no reason why you'll be making a commitment into the future, prices are determined, and then you are still making losses. Yet, we had a forward sale for a particular season. You decided to lock the goods down, thinking that prices were going to increase because the projection was that prices will increase. You end up not selling as many as 70,000 tons. That is basically going to be a cost to you.
And now, Managing Director of the cocoa marketing company, Dr. Wisdom Kofi Dogbe, has denied assertions that his outfit is engaged in speculative trading of cocoa as a means of maximizing profit without considering the interest of cocoa farmers. He also denied claims that the Cocoa Board hoarded some 70,000 tons of cocoa beans. He also spoke on key points.
So we don't engage in speculative trading, not at all. We don't do that. Our responsibility is to ensure that we are getting the right price so the farmers can get the best possible outcome for their hard work on the farm. So we never speculated, we will never speculate. And at the time, we did not receive that cocoa into our warehouse either. Again, it's unfortunate that there will be anyone that would allege that we were sitting on the cocoa waiting for a better price. No, that is definitely not the case. We have communicated out there that our forecast is 650,000 metric tons of cocoa for this crop season. And then when the minister announced the new producer price, at the time we had received 580,000 and sold 530,000 out of that. So I think it's a simple arithmetic. Folks are trying to do the calculation, what is left to be sold. And the difference between that 650,000 and 580,000 is that 70,000. Again, people also buy cocoa on a forward basis. Before they buy the cocoa, they look at the price. They look at what is going on the global stage. And what was going on at the time, folks can see that demand was going down. Prices were declining as well. And that is the reason why there was no demand at the time for that 70,000. But we never start down on the cocoa. We will never do that. CMC doesn't speculate at all.
Well, away from the cocoa sector crisis, the Minister for Education and Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, has described the 2026 State of the Nation address as one based on evidence. He also says inroads have been made regarding the education sector. Take a listen.
For me, this State of the Nation address today is evidence-based. It's not one of those State of the Nation for which you are not able to pinpoint what the achievable evidence data is and have been provided. So if you were to ask a number of questions, has there been economic recovery? Yeah, there has been. Inflation is on the decline, debt is on the decline from the unsustainable level, and I see the politics of cocoa coming up very strongly, justifiably so, because one of our main exports and one of our main foreign exchange earners and one of our major employers. But you know, as President Rawlings observed in one State of the Nation address, to eat an omelette, you must break an egg. Enormous improvement in the provision of education. And for me, what's significant today, as I listen to President Mahama, is to accept that we need to realign our investment and spending in education move away from tertiary, secondary education investment to basic education, because that's where foundational learning is strengthened. So he had the president pure and clear everywhere in the world. To succeed is to invest more in basic education. You cannot be spending 61% of your GET fund on free senior high school and secondary education and spend less than 10% or just 10% into basic education. Now the president announced a number of technical and vocational educational institutions that will be launched: Dambai in the Oti region, Techima in the Bunu region, and Damongu. GET Fund had some resources we unlocked last year which was not utilized. So we'll reinforce that for the takeoff of those universities. And then also, more importantly, the establishment of the TVET Fund to address the growing youth unemployment. So
Haruna Idrisu is the Minister for Education. Let's know what you also make of the state of the nation. We are active on Facebook. It's TV3 Ghana. Engage us with your comments, opinions, reservations. Hopefully read them and share them to the rest of the world. Away from the State of the Nation address, a student leader and an economist in the Eastern region have described President John Dramani Mahame's State of the Nation address as reassuring, but requiring stronger action in key sectors. While they commended interventions in critical sectors of the economy, they insist more intervention or attention must be given to agriculture, education, and the fight against illegal mining.
Generally, in my school, students who have moved from level 100 now to level 200, a lot of students are still facing challenges. Most of them, or some of them, have not received their no-fee stress. I must admit that it's a very good initiative for the government to ease some burdens on students, especially students coming the first year. I believe that now that we have new level 100s that they will be receiving their money, it's also imperative that students that did not receive their no-fee stress last year should be catered for. 1.7 million jobs that the president is asserting that has been catered. And for me, if indeed the jobs are there, then kudos to the president and his government. But I'm struggling to understand where these jobs are. But if indeed those jobs are there, then it means that it gives hope for we already in the tertiary institution that after school we'll land some good jobs to do with the illegal mining. We saw the voice of government when they were in position in regards to fighting illegal mining, and I think the work is not being done well. For me, because this thing affects all of us, our water and our sanitation and all those things, our forest reserve bodies. I think the government should increase their work on it.
Specifically, Eastern regions, there was not too much for us, and I think that government will box everyone into a larger scale. I still have one issue in governance, and that issue has to do with decentralization and government concentrated effort in agriculture productivity. In the Eastern region, for example, we have some section where cassava is very important. We have some section that plantain is very important. What targeted product can be coming from the agriculture sector that can boost productivity and create jobs for these people? In the Volta region, we have cassava and others. So government should decentralize volumes of agriculture activities. While the others could be minimal, government targeted intervention should be decentralization, where crop decentralization we see to be king. And Eastern regional rules are also deplorable. I hope that in terms of general governor allocation of rules, government could give us some good rules as far as the region is concerned. You talk about having satellite market for 24 hours in the regions, which I think is very best. I'm just looking at how the modalities will going to be. Because once such a thing is deployed and the modalities are very good, it is going to quicken economic activities.
And now let's cross over to the Bono East, where residents are having mixed reactions over the State of the Nation address. While some are in agreement with the president's address, which paints a picture of a nation on the rebound, others are raising concerns over a gap between national macro statistics and the daily reality on the ground. And now, Belinda is our regional correspondent. Belinda, how are residents in the Bono East reacting to the State of the Nation address that was delivered by President John Dramani Mahama yesterday?
Right, so it has been a mixed reaction, and generally, residents are applauding the president for the current performance of the economy, ranging from the GDP and to the current performance of the Ghanaian currency, the cedi, against international currencies, and also how the economy is running smoothly lately, even though they've raised concerns over how the normal Ghanaian market or the market woman has not reduced their prices, even though the currency is performing greatly against international markets. They wanted the president, or they want government to put in place measures to regularize the market system so that the market women or the sellers on the market who have not reduced their prices should be able to reduce it, so that the performance of the economy will be felt in the pockets of residents. Because there is concern that even though the economy is performing greatly, they are aware of that, but because they cannot feel it in their pockets, it is really a concern to them. So they want the market system to be regularized so that prices of goods and services will be reduced to fit the current performance of the economy.
So, Belinda, outside the economy, what other concerns are being raised by residents?
Right. So residents have raised concerns over unemployment rates. Even though there have been some reduction in the rate of unemployment, they still feel government can do better. Because according to them, if in a country, if the youth is unemployed, I beg your pardon, then there is always agitation and youth wanting to demonstrate against government. But if the employment rate is raised higher, everybody gets something to do, and there's no time for even you to go out there to say you're going to demonstrate. So they want government to create more jobs for the youth. And also some raised concerns over the oral. According to them, since government came into power, they've not really seen the activities of the performance of the oral, which promised to prosecute persons who have tampered with public funds. And so they want to know what the oral is doing now. They wanted the president to address yesterday in the SONA, but they didn't capture that being addressed. And so these are some of the concerns that are being raised by residents generally. Let's listen to what residents have to say.
Okay, sure.
The economy, there are improvements upon the economy. Yet still, there are lapses that we need to be addressed. The CD has appreciated. We actually applaud the president for that initiatives he took to calm down or to combat the CD gesture. So what we are looking forward is that upon the CD that has calmed down, there are some goods and services that we produce or we provide in the system that it still goes with the old CD that it was high. I mean, when the CD came down, there are some things we need to have reduced. There are some supermarkets and other stuff. When you go there, how they used to sell it at the initial time, it is still the same thing as they said. Car spare parts and other stuff is the same thing. So we don't actually see the impact of the CD upon our economy.
Yati say iwe mu gift award mo na asefo nya yante obi anka bepemene so all is mate so yante ndi yehu de all na so material to won mo pa kire ko le sere mo o ma yehu mo animunim ya o ma di man sika no e weto ai boa nduo bebre birim wo ho mo tin kurase a o mo yen school dan yen nsuo yen no me sika no ko bitwa solve that issues bebre.
I like when he said we should tighten our belts as a country because we won't get things so easy. So as a nation, I think that is the best thing everyone has to do. We all has to come together to ensure that things are moving well. And I think everything is actually going on well. Yesterday I saw, I think it was a flash that I saw a minority holding a lot of cocoa and other stuffs. I think they were protesting about the cocoa price. My father is a cocoa farmer. Actually, when I heard the cocoa price has reduced, I was actually not happy initially. But looking at the world market, you can't blame any governments about that. Actually, generally, I would say everything was fine. Yes, but my major concern is about the employment because.
And Belinda, Tete is a Bono East correspondent, and we will be following up on this and surely update you in our subsequent bulletins. and what other residents in other regions are saying about the State of the Nation address. And now the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly, TMA, has issued a strong-worded communique warning imams and other Islamic scholars to desist from using their platform to perpetrate hate and inflammatory comments during their preachings, which has the tendency to spark tension, leading to social unrest and conflict. According to the Assembly, such preachers will be arrested and prosecuted. The 7-point communique also urged the imams to see peace as a means of promoting unity among the people of Tamale. Over 90% of the population of Tamale are Muslims, according to the 2021 Population and Housing Census. Now, let's start base with our regional correspondent, and that's Christopher Mwako, for more on this very meeting. Christopher, thanks so much for your time. What has necessitated this call by the Metro Assembly?
Yes, so George, over the years, there has been this conversation of how Muslim scholars, especially during the month of Ramadan, there is this thing called tafsir, where they come to preach using the Holy Quran and the Hadith to the people. And over the years, there has been some issues of use of hate speech by some of the scholars during these preachings. And so it has more often than not raised some tensions within the Greater Tamale metropolis. This year, the Metropolitan Chief Executive, the Tamale Metro Security Committee, and other stakeholders thought it wise to engage these scholars to ensure that they refrain from hate speech using their platforms, which has a tendency of creating conflict. And so the meeting was successful, and they have also commitment to ensuring that they live within the issues that the stakeholders have agreed upon by, first of all, refraining from the use of defamatory language during their preachings, and also urge them to live in peace with each other. The Metropolitan Chief Executive has actually been issuing a stern caution to those who flout these directives, and that the law will take its course on them. Let's take a listen to what he's been saying.
No chief, no malam, no opinion leader has ever called me to tell me that Mayor, don't do ABC. So they rather support me to do. And that motivated me to call this meeting, because I know whatever I say here, the chiefs, the imams, the opinion leaders, the security are going to support me to execute it. That is why we are here today. So you should be rest assured that the leadership is committed. My security is committed. The chiefs are committed. Together we are going to fight it. And as you mentioned, today, if we go out from this place and we realize that any malam who veer away from the Hadith and Quran, you should be rest assured we are going to pick that malam.
Sule Salifu is the Tamale mayor and also spoke with our regional correspondent, Christopher Mwako, in that regard. That's where we pause and go for our first commercial break. We're back in more news. Stay with us.
He knows acrobato. And if you know acrobato, it means you know a punch homeopathic.
It's that time of the year when Media General transforms into Ghana's cultural hub, and this year we're taking it to another level. Our Ghana village is bigger and better. So much to experience, eat, drink, buy, do and learn every single day. And there's more. The Ghana Month Expedition offers 3 nights and 4 days of pure, unforgettable fun touring the best part of the Eastern, Ashanti and Central regions from the 19th to the 22nd of March. And on the 28th March, all roads lead to the Legon City Mall for your favorite food event, the 3FM Gobe Festival. But that's not all. All throughout March, our screens and dials celebrate everything that makes us proud. Our shows, music, movies, festivals, history, traditions, and more. Welcome to a truly incomparable and totally immersive Ghana Month 2026. Ghana Month launches on all Media General platforms on Monday, 2nd March 2026 at 10 a.m. It's time to explore Ghana again. From 19th to 22nd March, join the Ghana Month Expedition. 3 regions, 4 days. Eastern, Ashanti, Central. We kick it off in the Eastern region. Chocolate experiences, fresh farm fruits, Safari Valley lunch with zebras and exotic animals, Bonsu Eco Park for canopy walks and ziplining, and then party at the Rock City Hotel. Ashanti takes over. Bonre Kente Museum, Kumasi Museum, Komfonochi Source Site, Lake Bosomtri for hiking adventures and sleepover at Rich Condos. Central brings the history at Sing Manso, Cape Coast Castle, plus lunch by the coast. Then a Crown Resort vacation, quad biking, horse riding, water adventures. All this for 6,500 Ghana City single, 5,500 Ghana City shared rooms, and 10,500 Ghana Cities couple. You're interested, right? Call now 0531 100927 or 0247 120 633. Ghana Month Expedition, 19th to 22nd March. Don't just watch Ghana, experience it. It's that time of the year when Media General transforms into Ghana's cultural hub. And this year, we're taking it to another level. Our Ghana village is bigger and better. So much to experience, eat, drink, buy, do and learn every single day. And there's more. The Ghana Month Expedition offers 3 nights and 4 days of pure, unforgettable fun touring. The best part of the Eastern, Ashanti and Central regions from the 19th to the 22nd of March. And on the 28th March, all roads lead to the Legon City Mall for your favorite food event, the 3FM Gobe Festival. But that's not all. All throughout March, our screens and dials celebrate everything that makes us proud. Our shows, music, movies, festivals, history, traditions, and more. Welcome to a truly incomparable and totally immersive Ghana Month 2026. Ghana Month launches on all Media General platforms on Monday, 2nd March.
1948 Christian Block Crossroads shooting. The historic event is widely regarded as a turning point in Ghana's struggle for independence. Evelyn Tingma reports.
Today marks exactly 78 years since the tragic events of the Christian Block Crossroads shooting, where 3 unarmed servicemen were shot by colonial police during a peaceful march to present a petition to the then governor at the Christian Block Castle. The fallen heroes, Sergeants Ajeti, Corporal Atipo, and Private Odate Lamte, were honored with a solemn wreath-laying ceremony at the historic crossroads here in Accra. The Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajiman, laid a wreath on behalf of the government and people of Ghana, followed by the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Lijapong, on behalf of the Ghana Armed Forces and representatives of the Veterans Association of Ghana, traditional rulers, and family members of the departed heroes. Speakers described the sacrifice of the ex-servicemen as a defining moment that ignited national protest and strengthened the resolve to self-governance. The 1948 shooting sparked widespread unrest across the Gold Coast and accelerated political mobilization that eventually led to Ghana's independence in 1957 under leaders including Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The importance of preserving democratic values and promoting national unity was also emphasized. Prayers for peace and national cohesion were said, and 2 minutes of silence was observed in honor of the fallen soldiers. The Veterans Association called on younger generation to remember the courage and patriotism of the 1948 heroes. Standing here at the historic Christian Block Crossroads, the message from today's commemoration is clear. The sacrifices made 78 years ago remain a powerful reminder of Ghana's journey towards freedom and the responsibility of citizens to safeguard the nation's democracy. Evelyn Tingma, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, in more news this afternoon, the Eastern South Regional Police Command has arrested 38 suspected illegal miners for mining on a palm plantation at Natrong in the Brim North District of the Eastern Region. All suspects are currently in police custody assisting with investigations. In a statement, the Eastern South Public Relations Officer, David Fianco Ochre, said the suspects will be arraigned before court on Monday, March 2, 2026. Among those arrested are 9 juveniles. 21 of the suspects are Ghanaians, while 17 are Burkinabés. Exhibits retrieved from them include water pumping machines and power plants. The police also destroyed their makeshift shelters and water hoses at the site. The fight against illegal mining continues to face challenges as the police and NAMOs intensify efforts to clamp down on the activities. And now concerns are mounting over what child rights advocates describe as growing interferences in cases involving crimes against children. Child Rights International has warned that influential individuals are increasingly obstructing due process, undermining justice and placing victims at risk.
Crimes against children remain a major concern in Ghana, with child protection advocates repeatedly calling for stronger enforcement of existing laws. But today, Child Rights International has raised an alarm over what it says is a persistent practice of interference in such cases. The organization said some parents and influential figures are influencing how cases involving children are handled. According to the group, many of these cases are quietly settled outside the formal justice system.
The report that we have received so far indicates that about 90% of the cases are largely influenced by these people, and it makes it very difficult for the matters laid before the court to be properly adjudicated on. Such actions, we believe, undermine the rights of children to protection, dignity, identity, and fair trial.
According to UNICEF, the estimated total number of children who have been physically or emotionally abused stands at 3.4 million in Ghana. Child Rights International says some cases that gets to the courts are repeatedly adjourned, discouraging families until they eventually abandon the pursuit of justice. Beyond accountability, the group highlighted the psychological toll on victims.
When abuse is left unaddressed or privately negotiated for, the psychological impact on children can be profound and long-lasting. So you realize that a lot of cases that goes to the police do not even end up in the court, and those that end up in the court, they find ways and means to have influenced the parent, either not to attend court sittings, or the case is adjourned for a number of years, and when they get tired, they just decide to let the matter go.
Child Rights International says it is prepared to monitor such cases and, where necessary, pursue legal action against individuals who attempt to obstruct justice.
We have developed interest in tracking some of these cases, and where there need be, we will name and shame individuals regardless of their status, in tracking the due process that will bring closure. Where the circumstances require a legal action, Child Rights International is also ready and willing to prosecute to ensure that issues about children are not done in a manner that would have some kind of a meaning of impunity.
In today's digital age, an allegation can go viral in minutes long before investigators establish the fact. A recent case in Nigeria involving a rape claim that was later admitted to be false has reignited debate about the cost of misinformation. What would such a case mean for Ghana? Christabel Chebe has been finding out.
It starts with a post. Within hours, it trends. Names circulate. Judgments are made. In a recent case in Nigeria, a young woman publicly alleged she had been raped. The story spread rapidly across social media, drawing outrage and support. Weeks later, she admitted the allegation was false.
The high chance that something else happened, but the story of the rape is not true.
Yes, I've been suicidal, and that's why I just wanted to end it all. I'm tired. I'm very tired.
The confession came, but by then, the damage had already been done. While the case happened outside Ghana, it raises an important question here at home. In an era where social media moves faster than investigations, what happens when an allegation turns out to be untrue? private legal practitioner, John Baptist Ayede, outlines the legal consequences of making a false rape allegation in Ghana.
It was a lady that she lied that someone raped her and then the person has been in custody for 6 years. And now she said her conscience is disturbing her. That's why she came, if we can do something for her. So there is a provision in respect of making statements that are false. Because when you make that statement, then before there is sent to court, they will call something is commissioned and becomes a statement under oath. So if you find out that the statement that you've made under oath is a lie, then you are liable for what we call perjury.
A false allegation is an untrue or fabricated claim that someone has committed a crime. Once a name is linked to such an allegation online, the impacts can be immediate. Jobs may be lost, relationships strained, mental health affected. Even if someone is cleared, reputational damage can be severe. Public suspicion does not always disappear. In 2013, American singer and songwriter Conor Oberst was accused of rape in an online post. The allegation spread quickly across blogs and social media. Months later, the accuser admitted she had fabricated the story. According to him, the false allegation is equal to a car crash. The case is an example of how difficult it can be to undo harm once an accusation goes public. But Executive Director of Child's Right International, Bright Appiah, cautions against drawing the wrong conclusion.
Clearly, we do not take such information for granted, and the law do not also play with it, especially where somebody comes in to say that I've been raped or defiled. The law is very strict on that. Before you even defend yourself, the law must also take its course before you can even defend yourself and say whether you are guilty or not. So it is not a space that we can toy with or we can just play with it. So it is the same thing that must happen to people who give false information.
Many victims already fear stigma, disbelief, or retaliation. When a highly publicized false claim emerges, it can create doubt and make genuine victims even more hesitant to report abuse. That is what human rights activist Sheila Minkat-Premo described as a double harm: damage to the accused and damage to real victims who may now struggle even more to be believed.
Definitely, I mean, if somebody makes a false allegation and is found out, another person who reports may also be looked at in a certain way, within that particular environment. So it does make it more difficult for genuine victims to report and to sustain the report that they've done, go through the whole investigation process, go through prosecution, etc. It clouds people's minds.
The speed of social media has changed the landscape. A single post can trigger national outrage within minutes, and often the original accusation travels farther than the eventual correction. Legal experts and child protection advocates say the way forward lies in responsible reporting, careful investigations, and restraint from the public. This conversation is not about discrediting victims, it is just about the truth. Christabel Success Trevor, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, that's all time will allow us this very afternoon, and my producer has been Dennis Kwabri. Brenda Shandov has been my director. On behalf of the entire production team, we wish you a happy new month in advance as we close a chapter on February today. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. Good afternoon.